Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I'm your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and as winter beckons and the crazy season of Christmas shopping goes hand in hand with wrapping and stress and all that sort of stuff, what better way to just cool your tired little brows? Join us as we go and chat with another great creator about another great crowdfunding project. This time around, it is the fantastic Scott Duvall. Scott, how's it going?
It's good. How are you, Johnny?
I'm all right, man.
Yeah, right up the top. Thank you for having me. This is
You
great.
are more than welcome. More than welcome. I have got shed loads of time for indie creators, crowdfunders. You know, I keep seeing stuff on Twitter today, how the comic book industry is imploding. The big two have lost the way. So you know, if crowdfunding and indie books are the way to support the industry, then that's what we're going to do, right?
That's really cool to hear. Yeah, indie books need the support more than anyone.
Yeah, that's true. Trust me, Batman doesn't need me to sing his praises.
Certainly not. No, he's got enough supporters.
Yeah, he's done all right for the last 80 odd years or so. So I think,
Yeah.
let's have a look at the little guy. So you're here to talk about your project, Going Green. Environmentally friendly? Is it a message of its time? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's some shades of that in there. It's not necessarily the thrust of it. It's not like we're trying to put out a book that's trying to send any kind of message, whether subliminally or otherwise. It's more just just happens to be a byproduct of this crazy idea that we're working on, which is the idea that people are coming back from the dead and they're growing out of the soil that is derived from their composted remains, and they're becoming like a new version of themselves, but a plant-human hybrid, or flora fauna, as we sort of dubbed in the story. But yeah, so it's I guess the idea is like, yeah, we're going green. We're going a different, an alternate route to burial and cremation. It's more environmentally friendly, but that's not necessarily the story we're trying to tell. We're trying to tell a story about family and about loss and about how you deal with that and the afterlife.
It's interesting because I get there's the story element, the family element going on there. I absolutely totally get that. But there's a lot of pressure for loads of different people to kind of change our real lives somehow. It's I'm not gonna lie, I'm a full English breakfast kind of guy. And when I say sausage, I mean sausage. When I say bacon, I mean bacon. I don't want any plant thing that looks like bacon.
Right.
So it seems to me that like real life is kind of seeping into the book a little bit, that we are, whether through osmosis, we are actually becoming a little bit more plant-like because that's all we're eating, man.
Yeah. I mean, this story was literally ripped straight from the headlines. I saw an article, a headline that said that composting human remains had now become legalized in the state of Washington. And as soon as I read that, it just got my gears turning. It literally planted the seed for what would become Going Green. Just that idea of just like, well, that's a really interesting idea. What if, you could play with that concept and throw in some of the sort of zombie tropes, but they're not coming back as flesh-eating, monsters. It's something else. It's an evolution. It really is pulled straight from life. So I'm trying to tell something that's a little bit kind of resonates, and is actually feels like it could take place in our times.
So let's see. So composting human remains is okay in the state of Washington. Well, I guess that explains the Commanders football team.
Not just Washington. I think New York just became the 6th state, I believe, to legalize it. California right before that. So, from my understanding, it was quite controversial. Like all the Fox News talking heads, all those guys kind of jump on it, and they're just like, oh, they're trying to throw grandma's ashes on, the composted bananas, and it's just like, that's not really what it is. But they'll make an issue out of anything.
I was about to say, imagine Fox News getting the wrong end of the stick Oh my God. They
What
can
wonder
argue with
sees.
themselves in the mirror. It's like, it's crazy. Okay, so explain to me about the family dynamic then. So you've got loss, and we've all experienced family loss.
Right.
Um, it's no we've all done. I lost my mum-in-law 4 years ago. It still has a massive impact on me and my wife. Um, how how with loved ones coming back, albeit plant thing,
Mhm.
how does that then interrupt the natural grieving process? Because it would kind of like put it on hiatus for a little bit, because whilst
Yeah.
you're trying to get over losing someone, if they all turn into baby Groots,
hmm
yeah,
Yeah, it would almost prolong it in a way, like,
mm,
yeah, where you couldn't maybe have closure in a
mm.
sense. And it's interesting, Johnny, that you're not the first person who I've spoken to who's interviewed me who has
I'm not the
relayed that to me.
first son of a right. See you there. It shows up.
I've been speaking to people about this comic, just trying to spread the word,
That's
and
fine.
it's just it's
I'm
interesting
winding you up.
how
It's fine.
people will share that side of them
Mm,
with me, like a personal thing, just saying like, yeah, like, actually my father passed recently, or my
mm,
pet, or just something. So it's just, like you said, everybody, death is something that's just all around us that we
mm.
can all relate to. And so it's that grieving process that it's the one thing everybody has in common. It's
Yeah.
just that they know somebody that they've lost that's
Mm,
close to them. And I guess the story we're trying to tell, the family story, is that in life, Tim, the father, had a hard time connecting with his eldest, his son Cliff. They had a rift. There was a bit of a falling out. There's a whole backstory about how the father left for a while because he was doing things that the mother didn't approve of.
mhm,
But he was just trying to make ends meet by doing some criminal activities. But eventually he came back into their lives. And then Molly, the younger sister, was what came out of that. So then he stayed around. But his son always had trust issues with his dad after that, that it felt like, well, how can I trust that you're not going to leave again, that you're going to stick around this
mm,
time? And so they always had a hard time communicating in life when he was still in the flesh. And now it's sort of symbolic. Now that he's lost his voice, literally, he can't talk after he comes back as a plant at first,
mhm,
that they literally can't communicate. Like he doesn't have a voice yet.
mm.
And so it's a second chance. It's a story about loss, but it's also a story about second chances, and how now Cliff, the son, is able to have this chance to reconcile with his father, to say the things he wanted to say to him before he
Mhm.
passed, to be able to have that closure. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that, yeah, like, yeah, how do we move on from them? If they're still around
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
plant.
exactly. Yeah, because I imagine that. Well, first of all, let me ask the question. Let's not imagine. When they come back as plants, do they retain the memories of all that has gone before? Is that
Yes.
kind of like part of their DNA?
Absolutely, yeah. The
Hmm.
idea is that they still retain all their memories. They still it's them, but it's also
Hmm.
this idea. I've talked to my co-writer Sean Relaford about this, how in Star Trek, it's like when they are phased from one place to another, then is it really Kirk, or is it just a copy of Kirk, and a copy of a copy? Every
Uh,
time they destroy the original, and it's that idea of, is this really him? Is it? But because it's not him in the flesh, but it feels like him. It's his
I
soul
never
in
even.
there.
I've been watching Trek for years. I never even thought that it's the transporter between the ship and the planet is a physical device. So
Mhm,
therefore, it transports the physical element of the character of Kirk. What
mhm.
happens to the stuff inside that makes us us? How do you digitize memories and then reanimate those memories?
That's right.
Never even thought. How I am that old when that thought came into my head. I am
Yeah.
that old today that
We're
that
getting
thought is
existential now. Yeah, I'd like
it's
to
like,
go deep on this.
yeah, thanks, you've just spoiled Star Trek.
I also, yeah, I'll credit Michael Crichton with kind of like, leading me on that train of thought, because he wrote this book Timeline, which, like, he explains it very scientifically exactly how they're
Okay.
transporting them back in time by, like, essentially using a supercomputer to break down the original, destroy the original, and then with ones and zeros, just like recreating them on the other side, almost like sending them through like a telephone line.
It's like the physical version of the Days of Future Past, the movie, not the strip, where Katie Pryde sends Wolverine's psyche back in
Yes.
time into Wolverine's body.
Yeah.
Wolverine stays where he is in the future, but obviously he wakes up. His psyche, the things that make Wolverine, wake up in the 60s.
Yeah.
Man, damn it! God damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not an astronaut.
That's right.
All right, cool. That's a good shout. Good start. So, as a co-writer, then, so how's that work? Because I don't know about you, man, but I'm a little bit of a control freak. I'm a little bit of a takeover Ted. So it's kind of like when playing co-op with my wife on video games, I'm like, right, we're going this way. My wife's like, no, we're going there. Before I know it, we end up, putting Mortal Kombat on instead of doing whatever. That was sorted. She wins. So how does that work for you as a dynamic? Is it kind of like, is one like the ideas guy, like the story guy, and one's the dialogue person, or is it kind of more organic than that? You just kind of feed off each other?
We definitely feed off each other. We have been collaborating on and off over the last 2 decades. I've known Sean since I was a teen. I was still in high school. We were working at Sam's Club, pushing carts together, and that's how our friendship was formed, just over our mutual love of storytelling. And we saw in each other that we both love to write. We were interested in making movies, and so we made our first short films together. So yeah, we've had many years to kind of get a good kind of just report down, as far as our writing styles, which can be different at times, but also with Going Green, just sync up really well, where I think it's just it's the best of both of our abilities, but just a combination of it. And because we're such good friends and we talk all the time, it just makes that relationship that much easier. But to answer the other part of your question, we don't really designate roles of just oh, I'm gonna create the scenes, you fill in the dialogue, or you tackle this scene, or these characters, I'll tackle this. Although there is a little bit of a division of labor there, where we will say, oh, I'm really feeling this scene, I'm going to write it, and then we send it to the other person, and the other person will go through and make their notes, or oh, here's a line you should add in there. So we do, again, feed off of each other's energy and off of each other's ideas, so it is really just kind of batting ideas back and forth, taking turns writing scenes, passing them back and forth. So it's very collaborative.
Cool. Excellent. Good shout. I like how you say it's very collaborative. They throws you under the bus by making you do this.
There's a little bit of that going on,
yeah. You're the face. That's how that works. Let's talk a little bit about influences, because we're talking. I looked on the Zoo page. You mentioned Lock and Key,
sure,
which is a great influence to have. There is going to be more than one person. I mean, I've already alluded to Groot already. So, Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, are you an old school Swamp Thing fan from Alan Moore and Len Wein? Is this your kind of your jam, with the horror aspect thrown in there for good measure?
It's interesting. I appreciate Swamp Thing. I have read it, and so I won't shy away from it. If people want to compare it to Swamp Thing, I'll embrace that. But I would not say that it provided the direct inspiration. It wasn't like I was reading Swamp Thing and thought to myself, man, I want to do something in this vein, or just do my own version of that. I never thought that. I always, going back to Lock and Key, you mentioned, that was something that as soon as I read it, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do, something not exactly like it, but I want to do something that makes me feel the way I felt when I was reading it, which is that I'm really invested in these characters and this family and the situations that are being thrown at them, the supernatural elements too in there. But just again, that idea of just wanting to do something in that vein of just a supernatural family drama. And then when the headline I came across with the composting human remains, it was just like, I think something just clicked there. It was just like, that's what I should do with it, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think to myself, when you there are going to be comparisons. People are going to have those comparisons, and I think that's fine. And you're absolutely right that you can take on the chin and say, "Look, fair enough, I get it." There are only 7 stories you can tell in the world, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone that flies is Superman.
Yeah. Like people have been
Every
calling it eco horror, which I'm embracing. I'm just like, yeah, I'll
eco
take
horror.
eco horror. Like I was calling it a biological horror, I think, in some of my marketing copy for it. But when I started seeing people calling it an eco horror and some of the quotes I was getting from people, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna latch on to that. I'll embrace eco horror because so like you were saying, there's only so many ideas. That's
Yeah.
almost become like a genre unto itself.
All right. I swear to God, the internet scares me more every day.
I guess it's just this idea that people keep asking me like, oh, what is it about nature? That it's like,
Yeah, we're
it's good
screwing
or
up
bad
nature,
or
so nature's screwing us. Is that how that works?
yeah. I guess yeah, I think like nature, it can be both beautiful and it can be destructive. Like
Agreed.
a
Agreed.
waterfall can be beautiful, but it could also, if you fall off of it,
Yeah. Watch out! That first step is a killer.
yeah, totally.
When we think how, and we're going to look at some of the art in a little while. How do you kind of you mentioned about the writing? How do you manage to get that level? It has to be passionate for you and your co-writer. You want to feel that. How do you transpose that emotion from what you feel? Because these are your guys, these are your characters, right?
Yes.
So, how do you get that level of passion, that level of authenticity from how you feel to get me to feel it as a reader?
The way I'm attempting to do that is by drawing from my own personal life and experiences. I'm really, with the children especially, I've never written too many stories about like young kids in peril or anything like that. I have written graphic novels for children, but but never something that was mine, that I owned and was completely from our creation and our characters that we invented. And so the daughter Molly, she has a lot of her mannerisms, a lot of her speech is borrowed directly from things that my kids would say. Like they just say the funniest things. I'm just like, that's a line. I'm writing that down. So maybe should co-credit my kids for some of the
Yeah,
great lines
maybe.
they're feeding me.
Yeah.
But
I
I
can
think
just
just
imagine story by, script by, smart ass by.
exactly, yes. And so I hope that authenticity comes across when people are reading it, because so often I'll read stuff or hear like kids animation stuff, because my kids were always watching stuff, and I just feel like, man, that line feels such like something an adult would have written, that it's like, this sounds like something a kid would say, but it doesn't feel very authentic, or it's not genuine to me. So I really hope with her especially that connection comes across, and that people will maybe see their children or their niece or nephew or whoever in these kids as well, and just like, oh, I recognize that person, like I feel connected to these people in the same way that I feel connected to my children, and kind of baking a lot of their personalities into this.
Dialogues are hard though, right? I mean,
Not for
story.
me.
No, it's not. Oh
No.
man, I can't make dialogue sound right, because when I write, it's kind of, it depends which arena you're working in, but you got to think to yourself, you're right. Would you say that? Would the kid say that? Would they? And it's hard. But I
Yeah.
think what benefits a lot of people, a lot of writers who are using kids as part of their story, as part of their family, is I think kids are pretty much well served in horror movies, if not in comic books, right? Because you've got
Yeah.
the kid's always the one that seems to be the one that the demon or the ghost or whomever seems to be attached to, because they have that level of naivety, and
Yes.
they're the ones that like drive the story forward through what they see and how they feel.
Absolutely. That's very true. I'm glad you brought that up, Johnny. That's really true of our character Molly, because she is on the autistic spectrum.
Okay,
And the
cool.
reason I chose to go that route with her is because my children are both diagnosed. And so once they got diagnosed, and I'd already been stealing lines from them, writing those down, on my notepad. And so once I realized that the things that they were saying, and with the diagnosis, I was like, well, maybe, just if this character is gonna speak like them, maybe this character is also on the spectrum too, and that would kind of make sense. And so I started to think of her that way and write her that way. And what's interesting is sometimes people who are neurodivergent can be nonverbal, and this plant creature is nonverbal. And so now, even though Molly can speak, it's almost like she becomes like the interpreter, where she almost has like this connection with her father, where she knows it's him, because it's just like, is it him, or is it just a plant that looks like him? And she has a way of communicating with
recognizing the nuances, right?
That's right. Yeah, the things that only like certain people with those neurodivergencies will focus in and hone on, because they had this special bond beforehand. So she's able to kind of be his mouthpiece.
See, that's the answer I was looking for when I asked about genuine, making people feel. You're kind of like, we talk about diversity a lot in comic books. I hear it like practically every other day, to the point where creating a not quite the same character as the character I'm creating or has been created, like, I don't know, Batman, or making him African American, making Thor a lady Thor, although that worked out pretty well. That to me isn't diverse. That's just the same Hook with just somebody else in the suit, right? When I want to be diverse, when I want to see diversity, I want it to be natural. I want it to be organic. And you've just kind of bang on hit the nail on the head there by talking about autism, and how that relates within the story. It's not autism that's there isn't going to be used as a kind of like a badge of honor. It's like, you're not making a stand. You're just saying, because this person's has neurodivergency, it means that they can see a little bit different. They see different things than I would see, and so on. Absolutely, I think that's absolutely spot on. That's the sort of thing I like. Bring that sort of stuff to me, and I'm like, wow, I'm in there.
Well, that's so cool to hear you say. I'm glad. Thanks for latching on to that piece, because I felt that way when I was writing her. That's not what the story's about. It just so happens to be a trait of hers.
Yeah, exactly. But the trait is then used organically within the story.
Yeah, it's just like she's just another, like, as I put in the trailer for this, it's like they're just a couple of normal kids, and so I'm not trying to, it wasn't.
You're not trying to soapbox. They're just kids, and this is how they see the world. This is how they react in the world, and there you go.
There you go.
That's it. Cool. Well done. Time for a quick break. When you got into comics the first time around, Scott, what sort of stuff were you reading? Can you remember back then?
Like when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I was a total Marvel zombie. Like X-Men the animated series, like kind of made it was my entry point, I guess, into the Marvel universe, and then Spider-Man, of course, and so I collected mostly Marvel comics growing up in the 90s. But I was also, even before that, like a Batman fan first and foremost. Like he was my first superhero. Adam West was my first Batman. I grew up on the reruns, and so it was really cool when my dad went and took me to meet Adam West. I was so confused because I couldn't understand why he didn't look exactly the same way as I remembered seeing him on TV. I just kind of equated it to the fact that, like, oh, maybe because I'm used to seeing him with the mask. Because to me, like, I thought these episodes were brand new. I had no idea that they were reruns from the 60s.
Yeah, that's a shout. That is a shout. Yeah. So,
okay. But that's really what started my love affair with comics.
All right. Okay. Then in that case, as you like Marvel and DC, that sounds like a bit of a crisis to me. Check out this. Crisis in the Toyverse. I really thought there was more X-Men characters in that trailer than there's hardly any. Bobo, get your Marvel head on. Although that said, I know he's a lame character, but that Mysterio figure looks the bomb. I like that. I like the Mysterio.
I like the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy. That was great.
Yeah, Bobo. All right, there you go. Check out Crisis in the Toyverse. For all you Bat fans, there has been recent news of McFarlane Toys bringing out another range of Batman figures. This one based on the Batman and Robin movie. Yes, I know everyone hates it. Yes, I know I love it. Yes, I know I am in the small bracket of that, and that's fine. I'm all right with that. That's all. That's it. I love that movie. I think it's better than The Dark Knight Rises because I hate that movie. All right, where we at? Let's have a look at your campaign.
Let's do it.
It's right here. So it's on Zoop. Why Zoop other than Kickstarter?
I have always wanted to do a crowd-funded comic. It's been a big goal of mine for many years, and I always envisioned doing it on Kickstarter because that's where everyone was taking their comics at the time, that or Indiegogo. But I always kind of imagined I would do a Kickstarter one day. But then Zoop came along, and it was co-founded by one of my old coworkers, someone I worked with for a couple of years and really got to be friendly with. And so as soon as I knew he was involved, and then another guy was part of their team that I'd been doing press with for years, so I had a long-standing relationship with him, and it just felt right. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it in these guys' hands and trust it to them that they're going to do right by me and do the best job that we can possibly do together because they know me and we have these previous relationships. And so yeah, that was the main reason why I decided to approach Eric over at Zoop, and they welcomed me with open arms. So just that seemed the way to go.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's see where we're at. We are currently sitting at $1,376. That for $10,000 target. 22 supporters. 28 days left. Still plenty of time, man. That's a whole month.
28 days later, we'll see where we're standing.
How ironic for a zombie thing.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. That'll take us to the start of December. Cool.
That's right. Yeah. So hopefully, people won't forget us over the holidays. But
do you feel the time of the year kind of prohibits this sort of thing? Because people are going to spend the cash on Christmas presents rather than crowdfunders.
I did consider that. I know a lot of people are running crowdfunders right now, particularly on Zoop as well, and so it doesn't seem to be giving them pause. If anything, I mean, this isn't going to be ready by Christmas, but I wish it were. But yeah, I guess the main reason to do it during this time was I was kind of pairing it with my birthday. I thought that'd be a good way to kind of like kick off my 40th with my first crowdfunding campaign. Doing a lot of firsts this week to kind of make it a big milestone birthday, because I don't remember most of my birthdays for my 30s, but I'll definitely remember this one. So
TMI.
So yeah, that was partially to kind of time it with that, but also I've been sitting on this project for so long, and I just felt like now's the time to just get it out there and just test the market and just see what happens. I've been working on this and had this in my head for so long. I want other people to see what I've been working on.
Mark Wade gives you a quote. I have to say, I have interviewed Mr. Wade. What an absolute gentleman he is. How do you manage to get Mark to jump on with a quote for you?
As you said, he's a gentleman. I was blown away. I took some big swings in reaching out to some legendary creators, asking for them to lend their time and a quote potentially to help us in the marketing of this thing and spread the word and give us their endorsements. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll see we got a lot of other notable names as well to help us out in that regard. And so I went a little nuts reaching out, trying to get people to help us out. But as I mentioned, this is my first time crowdfunding anything, so I was kind of calling in all the favors.
What's that one? Bob Kane, what? Bob Kane. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going the Kevin Smith route of selling off some of my comic book collection to try and fund my dreams, my art.
Okay. Where am I looking at the quote? Oh, there's a trailer. Didn't see the trailer there.
I'm very proud of the trailer. I cut it together myself.
In that case, we'll have a look at it in 2 seconds.
Yeah. There's a little teaser for the trailer.
There it is. The artwork's brilliant.
Yeah, all credit to the art team, Vincenzo Federici. I don't know if we talked about this yet, but he was my partner on Army of Darkness Bubba Hotep. That was our first time teaming up.
Okay.
And he was amazing. He was also not only just like a brilliant artist, but just a really good, one of my favorite people in comics. And we really just hit it off. And we knew that based on that experience, having so much fun working together on that property, that he even suggested, he's like, I'd love to do a creator-owned series with you. We should keep this partnership going. And I was like, yeah, I completely agree. Like, so it was while we were working on that series that the idea for this concept came about. And I just knew I have to get Vincenzo on board because I'm gearing it towards him and his strengths.
Here we go. Here's the links. The testimonials. I've met Paul Cornell. I'll probably see him in a couple of days when I'm down in Thought Bubble.
Yeah, all these people like Mark and Paul, they're all people that I've worked with in one capacity or another over my decade plus comics career. And so, yeah, I just happened to have their emails and I just took a shot and thankfully some of them remembered me.
Fair enough. I was going to say, so with time in the industry, you've paid your dues. Why go crowdfunding? I imagine publishers had. I'm looking at the art that you've supplied here on the Zoop page, and it's as good as any art, if not better than some of the books you see on the rack. So, there must be surely independent publishers that are kind of thinking, well, you know what, this would absolutely make my day to go there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that hopefully speaks to the quality of the professionalism of the team, because we're all working professionals in comics. Aside from Sean, who this is his first go round in comics, he's written many other things, and he's a filmmaker. But yeah, the rest of the team, we reunited our Army of Darkness Bubba Hotep team, since we just thought, like, yeah, let's just get the band back together. So Michelle Monte, our colorist, Taylor Esposito on letters. So shout out to those guys. Yeah, so just making it look as professional quality as possible. And I think Vincenzo is a rising star artist. He's currently the artist on the main ongoing TMNT series. So he's starting to get a lot more attention on him. And so, yeah, I hope I kind of agree with you. I think it looks really professional. And so we did consider going the traditional publishing route and taking it out there and pitching it and stuff like that. And we did a round of that before we kind of we got one offer that was really not good. And based on that, and it just basically, I'll tell you, I won't tell you the publisher, but I'll tell you the deal, which was a 90-10 split, 90 to them, like in favor of the publisher. And it was like, so we're only going to own 10% of this thing between the three of us. So really like 3.3 or whatever. And then on top of that, like, they want us to fund it. And I was like, well, in that case, like, let's just hold on to this. Let's fund it ourselves. And then at least that way we'll have full creative control over this, and we'll be the owners, and we're not going to have to share 90% with a publisher who's not doing anything but, getting us into Diamond.
In that case, we'll talk after the show. Don't you worry. All right. He's the trailer for the book, Going Green. Here we go. Let's see what this looks like.
Let's do it.
one from James DeMatteis.
Hmm.
Wow, very good. Loving the drama there. Spot
Thank
on.
you.
Well done. Excellent. Let's have a quick look at the pledges, the rewards. Let's have a look because I've already zoomed past them all.
Hmm.
Here we go. Digital copy a must have in today's international world. I don't mind chipping in for Kickstarters and Zoops and crowdfunding. You know, I do mind having to pay $25 to get shipped over here.
Hmm.
100 pages. Is this a one and done then?
For now, yeah. We have one story we're setting out to tell about this particular family, but just the way me and Sean's brains work and the way we kind of collaborate, we always have a lot of leftover ideas and stuff that, like, maybe we're not going to be able to drill into this, within the amount of pages that we have that we can afford to create for this. But maybe we can do something with those ideas, another time. Maybe there's a way to extend this, or just, like, I guess, expand the universe and tell new stories within this, because it's world building. So it's like, it would be a shame to not ever be able to return to this, because we did have fun working on it. So I already have an idea for a one shot,
I have
a holiday special I want to tell after this.
I have half an idea for you. But
Okay.
Hold on, let me write it down quick.
Okay. Yeah. Pitch me.
No. Honestly, if you want to use it, feel free.
Okay.
All right. After the show, we'll talk. Don't disappear at the end. Right, where we're going to say. So an early bird soft cover there, $18. I think it's still a great price for 100 pages. Spot on. A variant cover, perhaps.
I don't know if I should tease that or not. I will say that
Who's the
Vincenzo's.
artist? Can you tell us the artist?
Oh, I think it should say on there. Yeah, it does say in the little notes. Vincenzo's gonna do an homage cover to a very famous Marvel cover that I'm excited for him to do. So I'll just say that. Hopefully we'll be able to reveal that soon. I would love to do that, like, at least mid-campaign, just to give us another little bump.
All right. Okay. Well, I might have. I'm tempted to guess. I'm going to guess after.
You can guess. I'll tell you if you're right. How about that?
All right. Okay. Then let me find the number. I just want to make sure that it's the right number because I have a tendency to get these things wrong. Because I.
All right. I can already tell you that it's the wrong guess because it's a number one.
No. I said number one. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I was going to go with the Phoenix coming out of the water from X-Men. Like the plant pot, like dude coming out of the plant pot style.
Oh, that's cool.
See?
You're pitching us even more ideas. There we go.
Well,
that's why I come on these podcasts for the ideas.
Yeah, great, cool.
Yeah, it's like a brainstorming session.
Yeah, let's not do that when we record now. $32 you get both books. 50 you get the retail. So if you're retailing, you can get in there and sell some books. Great. A little tip jar there. So if anyone wants to just throw in some dollars, that's cool.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If every single one of my followers would give me $1, we'd be set.
Ooh. Popular guy.
maybe I'm over exaggerating.
You never know. Excellent. So I think the project. I agree with Mark and James DeMatteis. I never argue with James DeMatteis, one of my favorite writers.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Oh yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and also one of the nicest guys in comics.
Yeah, I reviewed one of his books, like not one of the Spider-Man ones. I think it was like a Flight of Fantasy type thing, and a Galaxy type Starborn thing, and I was like, "Wow, this is gorgeous!" And I was like, "Yeah." Anyway, that's cool. Enough about him. Scott, give me your 60-second pitch on why people should be heading over to Zoop to pledge for your project.
Yeah, people should be heading over to Zoop right now, zoop.gg/c/goinggreen to pledge to. There we go. I don't have to say it. because this is a story that I think a lot of people would really connect with if they give it a shot. I think it's a story that we can all kind of use to maybe see because it's not really, even though death is sort of an overall theme, it's not really about that. It's a celebration of life and about family and about appreciating the people in our lives, whether they are biological family or chosen family, and the things that just really connect us as human beings. And I think it's a story worth telling. I've been kind of marketing it this way. This might sound morbid, but if this is the last story that I could ever tell, this would be the one. Like, this is a story I would love to leave for my children to read. Now I'm just selling it to myself, but hopefully my passion is coming across, and so people can see that we are a group of professional storytellers. We've worked together. Hopefully you've liked our work in the past, and if you haven't, if you come across it, if you're just discovering Going Green here for the first time, hopefully you like what you're hearing, and you like this idea of a death positive sci-fi / horror family drama, just about these plant human hybrids.
Yeah,
so
just
there you go. That's
it. Yeah, family horror drama, plant human hybrids. No Star Trek transporters. All right.
No, don't get me wrong. I love crossovers. I love blending genres together, but I'm not trying to get sued here.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Okay, so you can follow Scott on social media to keep up to date with everything that's Going Green. So you've got Twitter. I like how you're still calling it Twitter, Scott. You're a man after my own heart. It's none of that ex-malarkey here. And you've got your Insta. You've got B Sky app. That's a new one on me.
That's Blue Sky, yeah.
Oh, Blue Sky. I've heard of that actually. And for you all old timers like me who still ponder around Facebook, you can find him there as well.
You can.
What more could you want? There's the link again for the book. Check it out. Yes, I know it's a little bit confusing towards the end, but all you got to do, if you go to Zoop and then type in Going Green, pretty much sure the search engine will get you there. You know how computers work. It's not that hard, is it?
Your audience is tech savvy.
They better be. If they found us here, they better be.
Yeah.
Scott, it's been an absolute blast talking to you. So, thank you so much.
Likewise, Johnny. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Even though I'm not the first, that's fine. It's fine. I can do it.
That's all right. You can be my first on the next campaign. How about
that? Excellent. Pencil me in. All right, excellent. That's great. Thank you so much. The book looks great. The project looks spot on. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And how the seeds that you plant will bear fruit. Yes, I went there with a dodgy joke. What can I say? Don't forget to check out the UCPM for all your favorite shows. Saw the trailer for it earlier. Crisis in the Toyverse. And if, like Scott, you like your Marvels, then of course head over to No Price Podcast, where they will be talking Marvels, the movie, as well as Loki, and they might even get some comic books in there. Who'd have thunk it, right? Marvel still do comic books? I don't know. If you like DC, you can head over to the Definitive Crusade, and if you like your comics of a certain age, don't forget to check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. Scott, you've been an absolute gem of a guest. You are welcome anytime, sir. Yeah, absolutely love the book, love the project, love the ideas behind it. Thank you so much for spending the time.
Thank you.
I've been your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.com. all about comic pop culture.